have been like real time one scene, but that doesn't mean it has to be. Like if you want to jump around and go to different locations or characters, I don't really care. It's just about having 10 minutes of fun playing whatever style you want to play.
All right, fair enough.
Let's see. But and if any, as technology goes, if for any reason anything freezes or drops, it's just part of the show.
Fair enough.
All right. So we have, but let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So pick a number between what? Wow, 1 and 50.
1 in 50.
Yeah.
49.
All right. Hang on. Let me check that. 49. All right. So, great. Here we go. I'm going to put, we talked earlier, I got a dog. I'm going to put my dog in her crate. That's not the suggestion.
Okay.
That's not the suggestion. The suggestion comes from J Graigory, and our suggestion is survey says. Survey says. All right, thanks, Jay.
Question 8.
Okay.
I got the answer of marbles.
Yeah, I put marbles too. Or I mean, I put marbles, not marbles too. I also answered marbles. I wasn't sure what to go with. So then I was like, I'm just gonna guess. I always guess the middle option. So I'm like, whenever I'm in doubt, I just guess marbles. Okay, so that's a good answer.
Yeah, I think it's a good answer. It's a good answer.
Okay.
Really do hate this job though. I really wish that they give us more to do here. Game shows are the worst.
Right? I mean, do you think they're just like blowing us off? I feel like the same way. I'm like, I feel like I have no responsibility. I'm taking a bunch of these surveys and I don't feel like I've never seen one of my answers ever appear ever.
Not once. Top 100 answers on the board for men. Mine are never on there.
They're not right. They're not even in the top 10. I'm like, and you and I have a lot of similar answers. So I'm wondering, like, they probably give surveys to people, but they don't actually use them.
I think that's possibly right.
Oh, man. All right. So let me ask you this. Question 9. All right. It was a fill in the blank.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was blank shake. What did you put down? What did you put down for that?
Milk.
Yes. I mean, that's the obvious one, right? What else could it be? It's got to be milkshake. What else? What could it be besides milkshake? How are they even going to get top 10 answers from blank shake?
I don't even, I guess it depends on who you're asking. Because I mean, if you're asking somebody who might dance, they might say booty.
Okay, so that's 2.
Yeah.
What else could be? What else could steak and could, I mean, that's I'm stretching here. What else could it be besides those? That's 3. How are they going to get 10?
I have no idea. Oh wait, somebody's coming.
Okay.
No, I'm not sharing my answers with anyone. Yes, you'll be okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for checking in. Thank you.
Thanks. I wanted to say thanks too, but then I was like, hey, if I start talking, they'd probably be like, are you two in cahoots?
Yeah, they would.
Why do they care? Why do they care?
They shouldn't. We are a collective of top 100 answers. You're number 48 and I'm number 49. So of course we're going to be in close proximity.
Do you think they ranked us by age?
Ooh.
Like in terms of the top 100, where we fall in terms of age?
That's quite possible. That's probably why our answers don't match up with anyone else's.
We have the same reference level.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know how much longer the show's going to be on the air, but it's been on the air for quite a long time. So apparently they're doing something right.
Yeah, that's, you know, what's funny you say that. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Like I also, I'll be honest, for years I thought wrestling was real. And
Wait a
then
minute. Wait,
yeah,
hold on. Time out. What are you telling me?
no. Well, okay, hold on. Now, I'm going to tell, don't shoot the messenger, okay? I'm going to tell you wrestling, professional wrestling.
WWF, WWE, the Hulk,
Yep,
Roddy Piper, Andre the Giant.
yep. Jake the Snake, Junkyard Dog, all going all the way back,
Yeah.
the Von Erichs, all of that. It's all fake, man.
Wait, what? What do you
Yeah,
mean? What do you mean by fake?
it's planned. There's writers. None of that is real. They have storylines, everything's scripted. Yeah, it's not. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'll give you a minute. It's a lot of information to take in.
I lost my entire family due to gambling on those wrestling matches.
Oh no.
And you're telling me now that those were pre-planned?
Yeah. You kind of you you kind of got suckered.
Wow. This is this is a blow. This is really a blow. It's on TV.
Yeah, you would think that it's true. That's what I thought, right? It's like TV doesn't lie to us.
They had championships and belts, and
There's a mania. There was a mania that
there
they
was a
had.
mania. Did hundreds of thousands of people that were in those manias not know? Did they not? Did they?
I don't think anybody knew. I'll be honest with you, I don't think anybody knew.
What? My world is. What else isn't real? Is reality TV real? At
Um,
least.
all right, so hey Gary, reality TV is
Don't. I can't.
I'm just gonna say it. It's scripted. Hey Gary. Oh, Gary, come on. Gary. I'm so sorry. I thought you knew. I thought you knew.
It's like we're living in the Matrix.
Uh, you know that movie, The Matrix?
Yeah.
It's not a documentary. It's a fictional narrative feature film. It's somebody's imagination.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Mark, are you telling me that all the movies in the world aren't real? So you're telling me Star Wars didn't happen? That wasn't an actual war. Are you telling me that Forrest Gump didn't teach Elvis Presley how to dance and save all those people in Vietnam? That's
Yeah.
not true.
None of that's true. The only thing that's true in films, and it's even questionable, is documentaries, because some documentaries are also have been created and fictionalized.
But Blair Witch was true, right? The Blair Witch Project, that was true.
Gary, walk it off. Walk it off. I know it's a lot of information. Walk it off.
How is that even possible?
Gary,
This doesn't make any sense. This makes no sense. No sense.
as long as we've opened up the can, I need to tell you something.
But all those explosions and spaceships, how's
It was created on a sound stage. It was created for movies. The moon landing,
don't
it was
don't
directed by Stanley Kubrick on a soundstage in Hollywood.
so we didn't land on the moon.
We never landed on the moon. What's your answer for for number 4, the top 5 fictitious characters.
The top 5?
Yeah, did you put Santa Claus there? Because Santa Claus is the number 1 fictitious. Santa Claus is a fictitious character.
No, he's not.
Ah,
It's factual. His name is Saint Nicholas. He is a saint. Why would you make a saint up? Every year as a kid, there were always presents under the tree. So that's proof that he existed.
did you ever wonder why Santa had the same handwriting as Dad? Did you ever wonder and think like Dad's handwriting in the presents, it's exactly the same?
I figured Santa could write like anybody to make all the kids comfortable with the names. So Santa's not real. Saint Nicholas is not real.
No.
Okay. All right. So I'm
Yeah.
Tooth Fairy. Tooth Fairy's real. Correct. Correct or not correct?
No. Oh, Gary, you're crying. Oh, Gary, I'm so sorry. I thought you knew.
Easter Bunny.
I'm so. Also, mom didn't run away to join the Rockettes. Mom and dad got divorced. Yes. No, we're not talking. We're just crying at the same time. We're not having a conversation, all right? Thank you. Sorry. No, you're making me cry.
So she's not a Rockette.
No, it's not a Rockette. He just didn't know how to tell us, and then it spun out of control, and then he would send letters, but again, the handwriting was the same, and we thought you'd catch on that the handwriting of Santa and the Tooth Fairy and Mom, it was all Dad, and it just we didn't know what to say at a certain point.
Okay. Pull it together, Gary. Pull it together. This is the worst Wednesday ever.
Worst Wednesday.
Ever.
Scene. Oh, dude. Oh my goodness. That was so fun.
Yeah.
I love just like that's their job. Is just sitting there filling out surveys. Survey says. I did want to go on Family Feud. There was a part of me for a while, and then when I moved to LA, I moved to Los Angeles about almost 6 years ago. Everybody pretty much I know that lives here has been on a game show.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh my God. It's mostly actors. And it's mostly away, and they love improvisers too, because we could be very personable and outgoing. And so I've been doing an audition for a game show, and it was called 25 Words or Less. And it was just it's such a study in human behavior to watch people who show up there, but they love casting actors and improvisers.
Well, there you go.
They tell you to bring like 3 changes of clothing too.
Really?
Yeah. In case like you win, you'll like change into a new shirt or a new outfit each time. So they're like, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um, what got you into improv? How'd you start taking a class or doing
Um,
a show?
well, let's see. So I started doing stand up. So I started doing stand up comedy. And at the time, my girlfriend said, "Hey, have you ever seen this improv troupe in Dallas? They were called Ad Libs, and they're no longer a thing anymore." And I was like, "Nope, never seen one. Um,
Nope, not at all.
nope, never seen one." So like I grew up in New York. So in New York, improv at the time wasn't like a thing that was accessible. So I didn't even know it was a thing available. So when I moved here, I started doing stand up, and then I was introduced to improv. And during that show, they're like, "Hey, we teach classes." I was like, "Well, this will probably help me with my stand up to being more animated and being more um, on the spot and dealing with hecklers, being able to be, talk off the cuff." And so I took a couple of classes, and then I had a friend who was also an actress, and she said, "Hey, I'm going downtown Dallas to the West End for this audition for this improv thing called ComedySportz. Can you
No.
you want to come with me?" Because she was like 5 foot nothing, very small, petite woman, and she's like, "It's an 8 o'clock audition. Can you come with me?" And I'm 6'7", 235 pounds, black guy. So I was like, "Okay, so you just want a bodyguard?" But no, no, that's not it. I just figured you might want to do it too because you like comedy. So we went. Um, I wasn't scheduled to audition. They're like, "Hey, well, since you're here, do you want to audition?" I'm like, "Well, I am here." So we both auditioned. I made it. She didn't.
No.
Yeah, she didn't. She didn't make it, but I made it. And that's when I started doing ComedySportz, and that was in 02, 2001.
Wow.
And I've been doing ComedySportz ever since. In that time, the guy who was running ComedySportz at the time had to close it because he just had some personal issues and things that he needed to take care of. So he closed ComedySportz DFW, and then we were basically locked out of the venue because he's like, "Hey, I'm returning the keys to the landlord. If you have any personal belongings, you need to come grab them out of the theater or you're going to be locked out." So a group of us went and got the things at the theater. And then we all met at a bar to kind of like say, "Oh, that's, it sucks that we're closed. Too bad we're not doing it anymore." From that meeting of all those about 10 players, we basically said, "Well, why do we have to stop doing it? Just because ComedySportz isn't a thing, well, let's just do it ourselves, or let's go back and see if we can go back to ComedySportz worldwide and get the license and keep doing it." Well, long story short, it didn't work out that we joined ComedySportz again, but from that, we did create a company called Locked Out Productions or Locked Out Comedy because we were locked out of the venue. And we were doing short form improv games for about 8 years. Um, and then, like year 9, ComedySportz said, "Hey, we've been watching you guys. You guys have been growing and you're continuously putting on good shows. Would you like to come back to ComedySportz?" So at the time, we were like, "Hey, it sounds great." So we did that. We went back to ComedySportz, and now we've been ComedySportz DFW for 6 years now. So we re-picked up the license, and then of course I got involved and joined executive council, vice president, president. Um, so yeah, so my improv journey has taken a long, windy road, but I love improv. I love what it is. For me, it's almost a religion. It's a way of life. I treat everything with the yes and attitude. I always approach things with how can I make this better, regardless of the situation. Um, and that's just the way I live my life, and it's worked out pretty well for me. So I see no reason to change. Um, yeah, so that's kind of my improv journey. And now I own this club where we do
I
improv.
I love that, like, was ComedySportz sending, like, spies to the shows for years and, like, reporting back and going, like, sneaking in to see these
Well,
shows?
I think a lot of it was because I was in ComedySportz for so long. I had a lot of friends in ComedySportz. So like by that time, I had over 200, 300 friends in ComedySportz, and I already knew everybody. So when they closed, when you start your own thing, you post it on social media, you put out videos on YouTube, you put out a website. Well, 300 of those people were still my friends. And
Yeah.
now they're doing my own thing, and they're like, "Oh wow, showing pictures of, shows with full packed audiences. We put out goofy videos every year. We put out a short movie. So we were continuously putting out product and putting out content. So those same people were still friends, saw it, and they're like, hey, you guys are doing a lot of cool stuff. Let's get you guys back into the fold.
I mean, what a cool, we talked earlier. I also have a background in comedy sports and loved it for that fact of like, not just the people in the group of the city I was in, but you could go, it's franchise. So you could go to different cities. And back in the day, it's like, hey, I'm going to be in Portland. And
Yeah.
they go, come play. And you would instantly have friends and you'd have this community of people. And it'd be interesting to see how different groups play different games or what the
Yeah.
games of that city were, where it's like, oh, you always play these games. Each city's a little bit different, but they seem to kind of fall under that same umbrella. And now you've moved up, like you were talking about in the executive council. Now you're like president. So you're part of the decision-making process that's happening for that group.
Oh yeah, I mean, being part of the executive council, you kind of help mold pushing the whole brand forward. It's really interesting being on that side of the coin because when you're just a player or you're just a shareholder, you don't really see the whole picture, even though you try to understand what it is. But now it's like when I as president, it's like, how do I make things transparent? Because I didn't know anything. That's why I joined the council, because I was like, well, what do they do?
Right.
Well, best way to find out is join the group, and I did. And now it's like, okay, well, I see what goes back behind the doors. I see how the sausage is made. So now it's like, how do I open the doors of the factory so everyone can see how the sausage is made, so everyone understands the struggles and how we can win together as a group. So it's been a journey, needless to say.
And we talked earlier before we came on, and you are actually in your space right now. So you're in Dallas and you're opened up into a limited capacity. And
Yep.
tell the folks about the journey with the space you're in right now and when you started to do construction and all of that.
So we are in the Comedy Arena, located here in McKinney, Texas. It's a little bit north of Dallas. And we've been in the space for 4 years. After our third year, we re-signed a new lease, and that was last year in March. We signed a 7-year lease with a 3-year to continue. So basically a 10-year lease. And after we signed that lease, a week later, COVID hit.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so that was stressful time. And my personality is very optimistic. So I was like, it'll be just a month. It'll be 2 months. It'll be 3 months. Well, at that point, we'd already started construction on this space, and we did major construction. We didn't just, paint the walls. We literally tore walls down, built more walls. You can see behind me are stairs. We added stairs. We are now on the second floor of the space, so we've doubled our space. We added a kitchen. We added a bar. We added a lounge. So all of this happening during COVID. So while we're watching some of our other comedy clubs in the DFW area close, we're like, nah, let's just throw more money on the fire. Let's just just throw more money on the fire. Let's see. It'll make the fire bigger. It'll be better for everybody.
Come over and see this pretty fire. Oh, wait, you can't. So I'll put a Zoom on.
Exactly. So during COVID, we were doing Zoom shows. We were doing classes. We were doing, we had a lot of different show formats. We taught teachers online. We did everything we needed to do to pivot. We started doing some outdoor shows with social distancing on our rooftop patio here. But yeah, so we just opened our doors back up in February. January, we started opening. In February, we actually started having shows again. So we've been open for 2 months, and it's been slow, but we're at minimum capacity, so we don't have our full capacity yet. We're trickling people in. It's really fun saying you're at a sold out show when you only have 10 tables sold. We're sold out. It's like, well, you only have 10 tables, so calm down.
Don't show the inside. Don't show how the sausage works. You know that, like, sold out.
Exactly. Sorry, sold out. You should have bought your ticket sooner. But it's been fun. We've been well received. There are a lot of guests that have seen our space 3 years ago, and they come in, they're just floored. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is the same place. We actually had one of our players brought his son through, like right when we were done doing construction. And we have 2 doors. We have a front door and we have a back door. So when we had our shows before, he only came through the front door. And then when he brought him to see the space, he came through the back door. And he was telling his son, he's like, wow, they did a lot of changes here. Does it look a lot really different? And his son said, I've never been here before. He's like, no, you have been here before. He's like, we've never been. He's like, Dad, we've never been to this place before.
Oh
This is
my
the first
God.
time we're here. So we actually had to go to the front door and show him. It's like, well, you remember there was a wall here and there was a stage here and there was a curtain here. We've done so much renovating. It's not even the same place anymore. You can't even, they're apples to oranges. But we weren't meeting the needs of our clients. You know, our guests were coming in and we weren't meeting expectations. So they would come through and they'd be like, oh, this is cute. Can I buy food here? It's like, no, you can't buy food here because we don't have a restaurant. Go down the street. Oh, this is cute. Do you have a bar? No, we don't have a bar. We have candy and soda. You can go across the street to the gas station. They have liquor there. We're BYOB. You can bring it back. But the show was great. They loved the show, but there was those little bit of things that we just weren't meeting expectations. We had to we were working, after we got them in, we were working an uphill battle to get their vote. Whereas now they walk in and they're like, oh, this is cool. Oh, I can order something to eat. Great. I can drink. Great. I can see a great show. Great. So it was more or less of we were listening to the voice of the community. They wanted what we were offering, but they wanted a little bit more. So that's what we did. We threw all that money on the fire and hopefully it'll come back. Hopefully it'll come back.
Well, you kind of saw the money when you were open before leave because they were getting drinks somewhere else. They were getting food somewhere else. They're like, we want to put it here.
Yeah.
You don't have it here. So I guess we'll support the gas station to get that and come back. And now you're like looking at this as how scary to look at this as an opportunity and then to accept that you're in the situation of, well, we've committed to this. We're going to see it through. We're not sure where it's going to end up, but let's just keep sticking to this plan. The road will change getting there, but let's just keep doing this and see how it ends up.
So the only direction to move is forward. So.
Wow. Dude, what a great way to look at it too, where it's like, we can only go forward. We can't. And don't you feel like for improvisers, there's a large amount of improvisers that don't want to go forward. I feel like where it's like, no, keep going forward. Like we're never going to return to what we were. We're going to move forward. It might be familiar. You might get to a space that looks familiar, but like, that's not happening anymore. We got to keep going that way.
We're in a different world. Every day is different. So you got to move forward. Some of the frustrations that I would have with some of comedy sports is, well, we used to do it this way and it worked for 20 years that way. It's like, well, that was 20 years ago. So maybe it doesn't work anymore. Maybe we need to try something different. No, but I'm comfortable with this. This is what I'm comfortable doing because I've done it this way and it's worked. Well, it's not really working because you're saying all these are problems and here are some of the issues that we're facing. So here are some solutions. And it's like, yeah, your idea is really good. Yes, and I'd like to wait and see what happens. So it's like, okay, well, that's not really yes ending, but okay, we'll wait.
But I said the words, well, but you didn't embody the spirit.
Exactly. So, moving forward is the only place you can go because looking back, I mean, it's always good to look back on history, but you can't live there. You can learn from it, but you can't live there. You got to move forward. So that's what we're doing.
It's very scary for a lot of people because they think like change means things are taken from you. And it's like, no, change is opening up more things to come to you. And there are certain points. I mean, you've experienced this with just in a low stakes way of like games that we play where it's like, oh, I used to love playing this game years ago. I want to play different games now. I don't want to continue to play those same games and they're fun and I like doing it, but it's like, let's take a chance, especially if you're like in the middle of a hot show. It's like, call an audible, take a chance on a game that you haven't had success with before, because that show is the time to try it because you're leading with success. So take chances.
Exactly.
If people want to reach out to you to connect with you, to like take a class from you or follow what you're doing, anything like that, what's the best way they can do that?
The best way is just going to our website. We are the Comedy Arena. So we got our face masks here. We got our Comedy Arena face masks. We have our Comedy Arena. Right. So just thecomedyarena.com. You can find us on Facebook too. We're also on Instagram, all the Comedy Arena. We're on all the socials. We have yet to get any results from MySpace, but it'll happen.
Eh,
It'll happen. It'll happen. It'll
just
happen.
stay in it. Stay in it. It's
Yeah,
coming.
it's coming. It's coming. It's coming back. It's like bell bottoms. It's gonna come back.
It's all a cycle, man. It's all a cycle.
It's all cycle. It's all cycle.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, Vaughn, a great time. I saw you on a panel once, and you had talked also about being president of Comedy Sports, and so I was like, oh, I want to reach out, and like great improvisers, you said yeah, and we just figured out a time, and so whether it's in person or virtual again, I can't wait to play with you. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule.
Of course. My pleasure.
All right, we'll talk soon.
All right.
Bye.